Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Ultraman, The Rise of Ultraman. Yeah, I can't complain about this book in any way, shape, or form. You know, over here in the West, I'd be surprised if 1% of the population knew who this character was. But as far as overseas in the Far East, yeah, like there's so much history behind this character. I think that a decision was finally made that, who was it? Was it Turkey or was it China? Somebody tried to use the character. Somebody tried to use the character. They got permission to use the character for a little while, and then they tried to fight in international court that they were now owed the character of Ultraman. So it's like, it's my character now. And that was a huge, big deal. They were fighting back and forth over it. It's like, you don't get, there was a license, mother fat head. You don't get to steal my character. Wow, like people go crazy over this character in the Far East. So is Marvel doing this in order to try and get a Far East fan and tap into that manga market? I damn well hope so, and if not, they deserve to be slapped, because that's exactly what they should be trying to do with getting the license to do this, even if it's just for 5 issues. Hells yes, they should be trying to do that. Dude, you know, I'm going to get into the licensing and all that stuff. First, let's talk about who made this comic book. Then we'll talk more about the comic book itself. So this is actually important, who made this book, all right? The writers are Kyle Higgins and Matt Groom. Art by Francisco Manna, and the color art, Espen Gruninger. I'm always butchering that name, and I apologize deeply. I hope Espen doesn't come and, like, give me a hammer of Thor to my nugget or something like that, because that would just, like I'm saying, I would probably deserve it. But I apologize. Not my bad. Not my fault. Things to Come artwork by Ed McGuinness and Esbern. Ultra Q, Higgins and Groom, and art by Matt Cho. There's a lot of stuff in here. Kaiju Steps, Higgins and Groom, and Guri Huru is the artist on this. So Higgins and Groom, you notice that those names keep on popping up. Alex Ross did this cover. VC's Ariana Maher did the letters. There's a whole bunch of variant covers as well in this first issue. There damn well should be. And Carlos Lau does the graphic design. Ultraman was created by, I'm not going to get this name right, but I'm going to try, Subayaruru. Okay, that was hardly a try. Just, you know what? I deserve a hammer of Thor to the face for that. Productions and presented by Marvel Comics. So, kabang! Bro. This character, okay, first off, I know the character. I know the character fairly well. I've seen some movies with Ultraman. Again, a lot of fan-made stuff. I've seen this stuff, you know, people try to steal the character. I've seen a couple of things, not too much. I think that there was a cartoon for the character too, but I wasn't privy to that cartoon, which is clearly a failing of my childhood. I must have had terrible parents. I don't understand. But anyway, it is what it is. This book is perfect. This book is perfect. This is Ultraman, who is a gigantic freaking robot type character who has feelings. There's a part in here where he's shot, and the guy's like, I'm feeling something. I'm feeling emotions from this guy, from Ultraman. Like, you know, they don't know he's Ultraman yet. It's like, what is going on? It's like, I feel forgiveness. That was a moment that if you're actually reading this whole story and you're seeing who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, you get it right away. Guys, you know, as an old school wrestling fan, not this modern day stuff that pops up all the time, I think about the booking of heels and faces, you know, the bad guys and the good guys respectively. I think that some of the best bookers of all time are the manga guys. The guys who do the manga and the anime. I mean, holy crap. To a lot of American audience, the subtlety is removed immediately. There is no subtlety with the manga. It's, you know right away who you're going to root for and right away who you're going to, you know, cheer for, cheer against, jeer, right? You know this immediately. There's no question about it. Good and evil is prefaced by a giant freaking wall that makes the Great Wall of China look like a freaking, I don't know, a 1/26th scale model, right? Like, I mean, holy crap. It is, there's high emotion, there's energy, there's action, and people get, especially the kids, when you see, they get so into, look at manga reactions on YouTube. or Facebook, whatever, you know, the viewing, look at some of these reactions that a lot of these kids have to manga. God, I wish I had that stuff. I mean, you go back and you look at the reaction to that one bootlegged clip of Captain America proving himself worthy in Avengers Endgame. The one where you hear that freaking idiot constantly going, woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. I love that clip, but I swear to God, I walked out the clip thinking to myself, I want to smack this guy. I mean, I clapped when it happened. It was literally three claps, and I stopped myself from clapping a fourth time when he lifted the hammer and all that stuff. But I mean, this guy, woo-hoo-hoo-hoo, the whole time, oh my God, I wanted to smack this guy so freaking hard. Wow. Anyway, like, this is the kind of energy, though, that you get with manga all the time. I have been talking about about trying to tap into that manga audience when Marvel is doing certain books. Like, case in point, I said if they're going to be doing Arrow, they need to try and tap into that manga audience. Swordmaster, tap into it. Wave, tap into it. You know, White Fox, all these different characters, tap into that manga audience. And now they're just like, you know what? We're going to tap into that manga audience. We need Ultraman. And damn it, you're right. What's next? Are they going to get the license again for Godzilla? You remember those 25 issues or so that Marvel did way back in the day? Yeah, I remember those. Godzilla was shrunk down and S.H.I.E.L.D. was going after him. Hercules threw a bridge at him. I'm saying there were some fun moments. And here we finally got Ultraman over here to get a huge, hopefully a huge American audience behind the character. Look, did Marvel do it right or did Marvel do it wrong? Well, let me put it this way. First off, the art in this was spectacular. All right. The art in this was everything you could possibly hope for in order to, it appeals to the American audience while at the same time, it still has just enough hints of that manga anime style, which means that those fans can look at this and say, oh, shoot, they're doing manga-ish. Ish. You saw some of the images. Let me give you a couple more images. Just this is the stuff that elicits that freaking energy that these guys get into with this stuff. Yo. Yo. So the art, out of this world. But what about the writing? You might remember I mentioned Kyle Higgins and Matt Groom. Now, Higgins has a much larger comic book background than Groom does. Groom still isn't any slouch. In fact, Higgins clearly recognizes the abilities of Groom. The first time I really paid attention to Matt Groom was for the Self-Made comic book, which, if I'm remembering correctly, in fact, I'm positive, Kyle Higgins was the editor for that. They also did a podcast for that comic book. There were like 5 or 6 issues of it, whatever, and I reviewed, I believe, all of them. Anyway, and I listened to the podcast also. I made sure to listen to the podcast before I did the reviews, just so I could talk about them and everything. I think I was the only person who actually gave them a 5-star rating too, which I'm actually genuinely disappointed that they didn't comment back or say something positive back, because I'm saying that is actually a big deal in getting their podcast moved forward through iTunes. But, you know, hey, whatever, man. You do you, right? Don't bother recognizing the people who are hooking you up. Anyway, when these guys did Self-Made, you could tell that there was a love and a passion for sci-fi, for this high adventure, which I know is more like fantasy. There was this love for this other than superhero story. So more on that in a moment. I feel that anybody could have tried to do this and made this into a regular superhero movie. You could have, or comic book, trying to emulate a movie. You could have gotten Donny Cates on this, and he would have I'm sure he would have done a pretty cool job. Null would have been involved somehow, and Ultraman would have beaten up Galactus at some point. I'm positive that's exactly how that would have happened, all right? But we would have still looked at it and been like, there were some really cool high points in here. You know what I'm saying? It got some really good, it got some good pops. You could have gotten Jason Aaron to do this, I guess, because it's completely out of this world. He's fighting giant kaiju, and you could just, there's so many people you could have gotten to do this, right? You want to do some high emotion or something like that. Hey, go and get Dan Slott. Get some people to do this. That's fine. Or you know what another approach would be? Find some people who do sci-fi space adventure type stories that usually don't involve superheroes, because much like any kaiju movie, you have to have a human element. And the human element is usually the element that we complain about the most, because so often that human element is just written so poorly that we're just waiting for the monsters to go and fight each other, for crying out loud. You know, it's like, stop these idiots from talking. And in this particular case, though, that wasn't what happened. This is written so manga-ish that I'm reading this and just going, I really like the characters. Even the ones that I have to hate, I like hating him. Therefore, I approve of this character, you know? I want him to be dipped in tar and lit on fire and left, you know, straight hanging on the edge of a cliff by a single finger. But you get what I'm saying. Like, holy crap. This was written so damn well for that freaking manga audience out there. The best thing that Marvel could do right now is to push this comic book to the manga audience. This comic book should be sold in the manga section, or at least the trade paperback, whatever. They should actually make a manga of these 5 books when they put them together, not just a graphic novel, or excuse me, not just a trade paperback. It should actually be a black and white manga and put out there for some of these fans to see and mentioned. You can go and actually read this comic book form. Hey, look behind you in the graphic novel section. It's there too, in full color. Hey. It will get the names out of all the people involved in this comic book. It will get the name of Marvel put out. It could actually be so good that Marvel, which is inexorably connected to the MCU, could actually possibly be tapped to do an Ultraman movie. We lament the idea that Parker Brothers, Mattel, you know, they don't have their freaking heads straight, and they're licensing Rom the Space Knight over to IDW and not Marvel, who actually made the character mean something to the world. Marvel could do the exact same thing with Ultraman. In this particular case, especially with the MCU involved, the Eternals and the Celestials battles, oh, dude. Yo. Marvel did a good thing by trying to get this license, trying to appeal to that overseas market, trying to keep the comic books alive. And this right here, it's not just that's the marketing campaign. This is the actual product that they're doing, and finding the right people to do it. They scored straight A's down the board with this comic book, with hiring the right people and giving them just enough freedom to do what they needed to do to make this hot. This was really good. If you're not into manga, you're not into anime, I don't know how you're going to feel about this comic book. Reading this, yo. This is the kind of thing that, like, the first time that you see, for some people it was Ghost in the Shell, for me it was Akira. You see that stuff and it's like, this is what the Japanese guys are doing? Why am I watching this American garbage when I could be watching that stuff? And all of a sudden, that's all you're watching. You start learning Japanese, and you're just like, fools watch it in dub. I want to hear the actual voices. Oh man, that's what this feels like to me. This is hot. This is a hot comic book. Right out the bat, flaming fist, launched out of a cannon, firing straight into your chest. Boom. That's what this first issue is. A pluses straight down the board. They for what they're trying to do, they knocked it out the park. I'm not saying everybody's going to like this. I'm not saying that. I'm saying for what this was intended to do, and it's so obvious, to me at least, what it was intended to do. Damn, you want to talk about Babe Ruth walking up to bat and pointing to the outfield. That's exactly what this was. Damn. I am thoroughly impressed, Marvel. I am thoroughly impressed. For someone who, like, just this week says, I'm pretty much done with DC, except for, like, 3 titles that they're putting out, Nah, bro. And 2 of them are Batman books. Nah, man. This was really good. Marvel's got their problems. Empire sucked. So much of the stuff that they're doing just sucks. I'm falling off of Avengers. I'm done with Avengers. I'm done with so much with Marvel right now. I feel like I'm just out of comic books. And this is that Godfather 3 moment. Just when I try to get out, every time I try to get out, they pull me back in. Good job, you mother fat heads. Damn good job. Anyway, guys, that's going to be it for me. This was long enough. Like the video and watch an ad. It's the only way your favorite YouTubers get paid. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.